Okay, so I have completed the achievement for Dread Waste, and it turned out not to be as much of a grind as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more complicated. Um, because it introduced the Claxi achievement, which is a reputation-based achievement. Haven't had one of these yet with the achievements that I've done. There are a few zones that do have these, where you have to earn reputation with whatever factions in that zone. But this was the first one that I actually tried to do. So thinking the reputation was going to be something that I needed to do like at level 70, because that's typically when you rep grind. I was going to do the campaign, which is fairly short. Each chapter, at least the first chapter, did seem to be a bit lengthy. But this is remix, so you are overpowered, so you shouldn't have any issue. You can kind of just go through everything pretty quickly. And the Dread Waste was a pretty decent zone. It was pretty fun to kind of go out and do questing and everything like that. So um, it did have kind of an overarching storyline and quests and all of that. So it all kind of ties together at the end. So I was going to do this, and then I discovered, um, which I will show you here, you actually earn rep as you do the quests. Um, they actually grant you reputation. So each quest will grant 500. Some, when you reach the end of a particular quest chain, will grant you like 5,000, somewhere in there. I think I had some that were still in the thousands, but a bit less. Um, and then once I got the reputation, I just decided just to go ahead and finish the tour Dread Waste, which is just explore, which I'd already done, and then the elusive foes. Now this one took some time, and I know I've said that before when I've done this achievement in different zones, but it really did take a bit of time here because the rares are kind of scattered around the zone, and there's not that many. It looks like there's more than there is, but there's really not that many. I think it's about average for a zone, but yeah. Or the other zones have them more grouped up together. Might be a better way of saying that. So what I ended up doing, I found one. So you'll kind of start out here, um, kind of in the middle of the zone. And so what I started doing, I came down here to the kind of the lower part of the zone and found one when I was questing. And then I had gotten the rep achievement. So I was flying around, I was looking in the briny muck, didn't find any there, just kind of kept flying around. You start on the right side here along the wall that divides the Dread Waste and Valley of the Four Winds. So I waited here, found one, because there's not usually that many players over here. This is more just kind of where you start in the zone. Um, and then, as I said, went to the briny muck. Wasn't finding any there. Just kind of kept flying around, and then eventually came over here to the left side. And there's nothing over here. Um, there may be something that involves a quest or something, but I mean, there's nothing over here. There's no settlements. There's no um, hub or anything for you to be at. So I actually just logged off, um, and then waited till after reset and logged back on. That would be my best advice when you're trying to wait for something to spawn, is try to log in as soon as you can after reset. Um, and it was a bit after reset that I logged on, but sure enough found a rare and was able to get my 3. So the lower part, near the wall, and then the left side was where I found the 3. So completing those two, and then those will grant you the illusion Sha Corruption, which if you played through Pandera the first time, is this kind of blackish, black and white kind of shadowy kind of appearance. So not bad. I didn't mind that. Terrace of the Endless Spring probably comes to mind for a lot of people that played through, as I said, Pandora the first time. It doesn't work with shield for some reason. I don't know if that was just something I've never realized. Um, I don't usually use a lot of illusions, typically. Um, so I don't know if I just never realized that before, or if that's just something I'm missing there. But yeah, I mean the main hand is fine, and it will work with offhands because that seems to be what it wants to do, is put it like on a one-handed weapon. So that's fine. I'm sure at some point I'll come up with some kind of a transmog for that. So I have started using illusions more lately. So they've actually gotten better. So some of the older ones were a bit more subtle. So they weren't as noticeable. So completing those two will get you the illusion Sha Corruption. Okay, so I have completed the achievement for Talong Steps. As I've been doing, I did the looking for group and the tour Talong Steps. So the looking for group is just the scenario and the dungeon you can queue for both of those specifically. Still plenty of people doing scenarios and all of that. And then for the touring Talong Steps, explore, hidden treasure, which you need 2 of, and then the elusive foes, which you need 3 of. That probably took the longest, because they're kind of scattered all over. And they don't seem to spawn very often. So, this is the Shadow Pan Garrison is kind of the main hub for this zone. The island that's just off the coast from here, where the normally there's a vendor. Right now, it's there's a REMIX vendor out there. There's like all the vendors to get all the transmogs and mounts and all of that. There seems to be a few out there. That's where I found one to kill to actually get the achievement, and then I just kind of kept flying around. They seem to be more on the lower half of the zone, from what I can tell. There is also the Zandalar. What was it? The Zandalar Warbringer, which is in a few different zones. They drop mounts. They can't be soloed. They're max level. So if you're not level 70, and even if you are level 70, I remember during Miss, like you needed at least like 2 people unless you had, um, you know, most of your end game gear. I'll say like either dungeon or more, usually more like some raid gear, things like that. So excluding those, you just kind of have to fly around, and eventually you'll find your 3. And completing the achievement will get you the Muskpaw Calf, which is a pet. Which is, let's see here. There we go. That pet right there. So, kind of a cute little guy. And doesn't have actually all that bad of abilities. So, yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.